Donald Trump and the NELK boys got censored?
The NELK boys are one of the hottest groups on the internet.
Whoa. Coming right out the gate. I mean, listen, they're not bad looking, but Jesus, hot. All right. I mean, that's cool for your guy.
And they continue to grow a massive online following. They recently went
I bet they make your online following massive, if you know what I'm saying, bro.
to Mar-a-Lago and they interviewed former President Donald Trump. And during that interview, they talked about everything from World War III to Putin to what's going on here in the United States today. President Trump said multiple times that he thought that the interview would actually be taken down by YouTube. And now it looks like he ended up being right.
Why did he think that, though?
One of the tweets that we have is from Kyle Fogard, who went ahead and said, YouTube has deleted our Trump episode that over 5 million views in 24 hours. The communication from YouTube doesn't give us much more information.
Yeah, they don't, which is shitty. I mean, at the very least, if you're going to pull somebody's thing down, give a detailed explanation as to why you felt it was inappropriate.
Simply says that their team reviewed the content, and unfortunately, they think it violates their misinformation policy. Well, whether you think it does or not, you probably should actually have an opinion. Does
Yeah, if like, okay, I didn't watch the interview. I'm not going to. If Trump said something that was like massively, like part of like massive contribution to misinformation, okay. If YouTube wants to live and die on that, that's totally fine. And actually, that could be reasonable. Maybe he said something that was like wildly inappropriate about some kind of topic. I don't really know. I can understand. But like, you can't, I mean, I just think it's ridiculous that you'll make the general prescription of like, oh, he might have done a bad thing. Tell us what it was. What was the specific aspect that he got pulled down for? That's what I would like to know.
Does it or does it not? This is a pretty big deal to take down an interview with over 5 million views in 24 hours with the former president.
Hey, I hope at least they got paid for that. 5 million views, 24 hours. Sheesh, brother. That's like 4 months of views for me. Fucking shit. That's incredible. Good for you guys.
The United States talking about things like his relationship with Vladimir Putin, who happens to be invading another country right now, or World War III.
I wouldn't doubt that Trump said some dumb shit about like pro-Russia bullshit. Or he definitely said like, see, if I was president, this would have happened. Like he would have used it as a campaign thing. That's what he's doing, by the way. Trump. Why do you think Trump went on with the NELK boys? Because he's going to play like a grassroots thing. He's like, I'm gonna go on. I'll take some of these popular fucking guys. I'll go on. I'll be a fun meme. So I get elected in 2024. He's been sniping in 2024 for how long? I'm telling you, it's true. And I'm not saying it's even dumb. It's a smart tactic, but that's what he's doing.
Potential use of nuclear weapons or other things here in the United States, like the economy or inflation. And so ultimately, what we are watching is censorship and all sorts of decision-making that's happening inside these big tech companies. But nobody knows exactly how it's being done. Who's involved? Who holds them accountable?
Yeah, that's my problem. I don't care about the censorship as much as the lack of accountability or lack of transparency for the censorship.
Why is it that we think that some big technology company, they know what's true and what's not? At one point, they were telling us not to wear masks. Then they were telling us to wear masks. And
okay.
Over and over.
I mean, yeah, there was a point where they were saying don't wear masks, which was really fucked up. I remember listening to NPR for this. And it was in the beginning. They're like, oh, don't wear masks. The virus is too small. It'll go through the mask. The biggest reason they seem to have been doing that is so that they can hoard masks for medical shit. And I understand why, but it makes people really hesitant and like weary of the government. So yeah.
Over and over again over the last 2 years. At one point, they think something's true. At another point, they don't. If you believe in free speech, the true test of free speech is to protect the speech of the people you disagree with.
Yeah, I understand what he's saying. I don't necessarily disagree, but we have to understand, like, okay, again, they may have just pulled the Trump thing down just because, ew, you grow Trump. They might have pulled it down because Trump pushed some kind of, like, anti-fucking Ukraine insane bullshit or something. So I could see why they might want to censor some things on their website. I think it could be a slippery slope, which is why my only thing is, like, hey, you should be more transparent about it if you're going to do it. That's my entire thing. Like if you say like, oh, you might have violated something based on misinformation, blah blah blah. Okay, well, what was misinformation, so that people could be like, okay, I get why you're doing that. You know, because if you had somebody come on, they had some like fucking Nazi come on, and be like, yeah, all Jewish people are horrible, they run the world, they should all die, blah blah blah. You know, obviously we would go, well, that's not free. Or let's bring the violence out of it. Let's say like some like a fucking neo-Nazi came on and they were like, oh, Jewish people run the banks and they're horrible and they run the world and there's like a secret Jewish organization that's trying to down blah, blah, blah. Well, it's obviously misinformation that should be taken down, and I would agree with that. So we all believe in censorship, right? Like most people will believe in censorship because edgy 12-year-olds that are like, yeah, you should be able to say the N-word, you know what I mean? But we just want to know what's the line being drawn? What did he say that leads you to feel he needs to be censored?
The whole idea of misinformation is ridiculous. We then see Donald Trump's son go ahead and say that after the deletion, he thinks that they should put the podcast up on Rumble Video, which is another video platform, which is promising that they won't be censoring speech, that they won't try to become the arbiter of truth. And ultimately, that's what's going to happen in the free market, is that if the existing systems continue to censor people, if they continue to kick content off of their platforms, ultimately, somebody's going to build a competitor because the people want access to information. They want to go straight to the source. Why is it that the big technology companies, there's just some employees sitting there saying, I like this, I don't like this, I agree with this, I don't agree with this, I think that's true, I don't think that's true. That's a scary place to live. It's a slippery slope and one we should be aware of. Now, Donald Trump came out with a statement by the 45th president of the United States of America. He said, whatever happened to free speech in our country? Incredibly, but not surprising, the big tech lunatics have taken down my interview with the very popular NELK boys so that nobody can watch it or in any way listen to it. In 24 hours that it was up, it set every record for them by many times. Interestingly, on the show, I told them that this would happen because big tech and the fake news media fear the truth. They fear criticism about Biden. And above all, they don't want to talk about the rigged 2020 presidential election. All topics.
Oh, is that what it's about? Wait, why did he get it pulled down?
Discussed. In Russia, the people are not allowed to know that they're fighting a war with Ukraine. That's where our media is going. That's where our country is going because it quickly follows. Just study history. Are we going to allow this to happen? Our country is going to hell. Now, of course, if you think about this, there's some truth in everything that's being said here, but also it's being said in a bombastic way. And so whether you believe what is being said or whether you...
Okay. So apparently what they had said was that we removed this video for violating our election integrity policy, which prohibits content containing false claims that widespread fraud changed the outcome of the 2020 U.S. election. Okay, so they removed it because Trump was on there talking about how the election was stolen from him, was probably what had happened. Listen, I don't know. I don't agree with that being removed. Honestly, I don't agree with that being removed. I feel like that's, and like the election wasn't stolen from Trump at all. It wasn't. Like he lost. He took the L and he couldn't fucking cope. There was no widespread voter fraud. I'm sure there are some people who were engaging in voter fraud on both sides, but there was no widespread voter fraud. That being said, I don't know if I would say that warrants removal from YouTube. I don't know. I just personally, I could see why they might have removed it, but at the same time, you know, I don't agree with it. I think they should have let it stay up, and then we could have something to talk about. Yeah, I just don't feel like that. I mean, listen, I don't know exactly where I would draw the line, but I don't think a dumb fucking old person crying about how he lost an event should be pulled down, honestly. I personally just don't think that this should have been removed.
You completely disagree with it. I don't want to live in a world where large technology companies get to be the arbiter of truth. And if you go back in history, there's literally fake news being printed on pieces of newspaper that sit at the grocery store line. It's called tabloids. And so ultimately, misinformation, fake news, whatever you want to call it, has been around for centuries. Somehow now, though, these large companies are deciding what gets to be said and what doesn't. They're private companies. They have the right to do that. I just think that they're going to run into some trouble when all of a sudden the competition shows up and says, we're not going to play that game. Hey, you, did you like this video? Great.
Oh, they probably... no competition is probably actually going to take over, but... yeah, I think that I don't know. I think that they shouldn't have removed it, though, to be honest with you. Sure, fair enough, though. Fair enough. Thank you so much for watching, guys, and another special shout out to all my Patreon and Twitch subs. If you'd like to support this channel further than you already have by just watching the video alone, go down to the links below where you can sub on my Patreon, which will allow you to get your name on this beautiful black wall. Or you can go to the Twitch page and you can actually use a free Amazon Prime sub, if you have Amazon Prime, to subscribe. Thank you very much, guys. Take care.